Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. Good morning, Hank.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. College basketball's doing well. You're doing very well in that as well. And we got the big weekend of NFL football. We've got 4 teams in this week. How many of these teams were projected to be here? I think Kansas City definitely was projected. And San Francisco was given a pretty good shot.
When were you talking about?
Preseason. Back in August, September.
Well, Green Bay was talked about a little bit because you looked at that division. I don't know who else was favored in that division. I think it was Green Bay.
It was close, it was close between them and Minnesota. Yeah.
As long as you had Rodgers, they were going to get a lot of attention. I don't think people knew how good San Francisco was going to be. And, the Rams were favored out west. So, and then, certainly Tennessee wasn't on the list.
That's for sure.
This far.
Yeah, they're the dark horse, for sure. And Kansas City, of course, with Mahomes, everybody thought they might get there because they made it.
Well, the hot team in that division was the Chargers.
Boy, they sure went.
Preseason.
They sure went nowhere. Wow. Yeah, it's we got 2 teams, 7.5 point favorites. Kansas City, San Francisco. There's been a little bit of money on the over on the Green Bay San Francisco game. Went up from 45 to 46.5. And
I don't like the over in that game. I know you're a totals player, and I wanted to talk to you about that. But I thought that game comes up as a low total because of Green Bay's defense and those Smith guys who are going to put pressure on Garoppolo. And San Francisco's defense has a good chance of shutting down Green Bay because Green Bay plays terribly out there. Rodgers had the worst game of his career the last time he played out there. He went 0 for 13 on third downs. He was benched in the game. He did nothing. And by the way, Green Bay does not do well in revenge games. He's only 1-4. And I don't look for him to bounce back against this defense, which is now 100% healthy. I think that's going to be a defensive game.
Yeah, I wonder where the opinion is coming from that it's going to be a high scoring game because I didn't think that either. I agree with you.
I don't know where all these opinions come from. I came from a guy last night, and he's telling me about analytics and these guys with analytics, and I said, hey, let me ask you something. I'm 17-5 on best bets on CBS. How's the analytics guys doing? He said they're 11-9. 11-9? What's that?
Well, analytics. It's gotten into the mindset of the millennials and that this is the new way to handicap. And I think there's a lot of value to it to be added to what you and I normally do, which is standard, tried and true handicapping that we've done for a long time. But I don't think you're going to win money just going analytics. I think you have to mix it, and you can look at it.
He's an analytics guy, and I said that I told him can't remember a team that went on a road 4 straight weeks and played well. And he's trying to give me an argument about that because the analytics guys don't consider that. I think that's a huge factor. So he's trying to argue against that and saying, well, they weren't long trips. What's the difference how long the trips are? They're in a strange field where the teams are, where the fans are against them. They're not sleeping at home the night before. They do have to travel. It upsets their week somewhat. And I don't think any team has ever gone 4 straight games on the road and won. I know the Giants did it, but that was 3 straight games on the road.
It's definitely hard to do. There's no question. Tennessee's unique in the fact that they have this offense that can control the ball and control the game I don't think that's going to work against Kansas City. This kid Mahomes can put up too many points too fast. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to score some points. And I think being on the road 4 straight weeks does matter. I think it matters a lot.
I do agree too. I don't like their chances. I'll tell you, it depends a lot on how many yards. Is he going to get 190 yards again this week? I'm not sure he can. Remember when they went into New Orleans? New Orleans held them under 100. And they got beat.
The biggest issue.
If Kansas City breaks on top, and let's say they're ahead by 2 scores, and they have to rely on Tannehill, I don't think Tannehill can get it done.
Well, I think the biggest, I don't know, there's a lot of issues. I mean, if Henry can run the ball, even if he gets 100 yards, the run-pass option, the motion in the offense, Tannehill, I give him a little bit more credit than a lot of people do. He's played fairly well. Now, he has only thrown 30 passes in 2 games, but that's because of the design of their offense. But the only problem I have with Kansas City, not the only, but their propensity to turn the ball over a little bit too much. But I like Kansas City in the game. I'm not going to lay 7.5 with it, but I'd lay 7. Maybe 7 with a little price on it. I do think that game goes over the total. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
I agree. But I'll tell you something about Tannehill. When he's had to throw 35 passes, they haven't won. Just a stat.
Well, last week, somehow...
You don't have a reaction to that?
Well, I agree, and that's why I was going to bring up a point that what happened last week with Lamar Jackson throwing 49 passes. That didn't work out very well either. So your point is well taken. Tannehill's not a guy you want throwing 35 passes.
Well, he's not big. There's a big difference between 35 and 49.
True.
35 is not an unreasonable number. But 35 indicates that he's had to throw the ball somewhat. And Vrabel takes the ball out of his hands as much as he can because he knows that he's a terrible risk when he has to pass. That's my point.
I understand what you're saying. In isolated situations, if Henry's controlling the ball and he throws a couple of long bombs like he did last week, he's very effective. I don't know how that's going to work out. I mean, I don't know.
Remember what he did with those long passes. They were the first 2 passes. He did it on the first 2 possessions. One of them went to a guy who hadn't caught a pass all year, and he really caught Baltimore by surprise. Baltimore was not ready for him to throw over the top, like coming out of the gate like that, and they weren't ready for it. And that was the last you saw of him throwing the ball.
Well, it's like a horse race, and you're an expert at horse racing, and the pace makes the race. And if Kansas City breaks on top and forces Tannehill to be a passer, they're going to be in some trouble.
I think so. Now, I think I like the under in the other game because I think the Smith brothers are going to put pressure on Garoppolo and force them to run the ball. And I think that the San Francisco defense with that front center is going to be all over Rodgers. I
do believe that, especially on the San Francisco front 4. I mean, they're devastating, and they devastated him the last time. Rodgers didn't have that pressure in his face last week against Seattle because Seattle couldn't get to him. This team can, and that's going to make a big difference, and that's why I agree with you. I don't understand the movement. I respect a lot of line movements, and this is an across-the-board over money coming in on Green Bay and San Francisco, and I don't quite understand it. And that makes me a little bit nervous because some of the sharp money is sharp, but I like it under. If a 47 pops on that game, I'll probably bet it under. I have not bet it yet. But I'm seeing that Pinnacle has it 46.5 under, and a couple other places have 46.5 over. So if it gets to 47, that's where I'm going to go with it. I'll go under. College.
Well, I'm so far ahead for this week.
I was just going to bring that up.
Coming off the Monday night game, and I'm a little bit ahead in basketball this week. I did have Gonzaga last night over Santa Clara, which was an easy win. They were a 20-point favorite, and they won by almost 50. They're merciless.
They're a machine right now. You know, I was going to bring up that you're more than a little bit ahead. You've been doing extremely well in college basketball this week.
I'm ahead. I mean, but there's some real good, interesting games tomorrow. You got Virginia Tech and Syracuse. I'll tell you a funny story. The athletic director at Syracuse is a guy who let me go at ESPN. And I was talking to my boss now, and he called me yesterday. He wanted to know what I thought about this weekend in basketball. I said, I just could take going against Syracuse. I always do because I can't stand the athletic director. He said, I know what you're talking about. I said, it's very funny. But I try not to cloud my judgment because I like Boeheim. But Butler-DePaul is a very good game. Florida-Auburn will be a good game. Auburn got knocked off by Alabama this week. Something of a surprise. Auburn did not shoot well at all.
That's a big rivalry game.
Yeah. And
I got to bring this up. Number 603, Seton Hall. You've been talking about how good Seton Hall is all year. They are really good.
Yep. And there's North Carolina State, Clemson. Clemson beat Duke. I think Clemson's in for a huge letdown. They got to go on the road now and play North Carolina State. They beat Duke at home. And Kansas, Texas will be a good game. So it's a nice Saturday for. We'll see what Alabama does against Missouri after beating Auburn. Missouri's not that bad. Washington, Oregon. Oregon slipped up this week. These teams are not all dependable right now.
No,
Kentucky, Arkansas. Arkansas has not been playing that badly, and Kentucky has been a little up and down. Not totally dependable all the time. And South Carolina beat them.
Can't forget about Baylor, number 2 in the country, 14-1 on the year.
South Carolina, by the way, Frank Martin's doing a good job with that team. And Duke is playing Louisville. And I think Duke playing at Clemson might have been looking ahead a little bit.
Yeah, Duke is always dangerous, but coming off a loss, even more so. That'll be interesting. A lot of great games and big card. It takes forever.
Yeah, it's a very good card Saturday.
Yeah, it really is. Hank, good luck this weekend. You continued to success.
One thing I just want to bring up: the first of the 3-year-old stakes races to watch is in Louisiana at the fairgrounds Saturday. You can't bet it in Nevada because of this beef between the Nevada Racing Commission and Churchill Downs people.
Really? Wow.
You know, if they don't settle that, you're not going to be allowed to bet the Kentucky Derby. You can't bet Derby futures right now here.
Wow. Politics gets involved with everything. What did you think about the firing of the head coach of the Golden Knights?
Well, they won the first game back out of that. I looked into that a little bit, and apparently there was some interior problems with the current with the coach who was fired. Although he did get them to the finals 2 years ago, and I thought it was kind of strange that after a 4-game losing streak, he gets fired just like that. But apparently there was a lot of strife on that team. Players not getting along, lack of leadership, and they came in and fired him before it got too far out of hand. And the guy they replaced him with, they think is a very good coach. And right now he's undefeated. He's 1-0.
Yes, he is. All right, Hank, we'll talk Monday, but good luck this weekend. I hope you win all the games that you have your money on. And I know you've been really hot, so people should go to the website and check out what you got because you've been doing very, very well. And like you said on that
By the way, one last point in considering the point spreads, and that is in the championship round, teams that are favored between 7 and 9.5 points are 67%. And that's like in 24 games where that's occurred. The other factor is point differential. 14 points or more has occurred 44 times, which is twice as much as any other number. So if you like the favorites, don't be afraid.
All right. Thank you, Hank. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. We'll talk Monday.
All right, Jim. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. That's great information from Hank as usual. Go to JimFeist.com for Jim's picks. That's me. And Hank. And he has been doing extremely well. And we'll talk to you Monday.